Okay, so I am waiting for a few others. We already have the folks who showed up in person, and so we're just waiting on maybe I see 4 people who are supposed to come, but if not, we can just start in a few minutes. Um, okay, so I'm going to be getting the Prezi set up for right now. Give me 1 sec. But if not, we can just start in a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to be getting the Prezi set up for right now. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so as of now, I will just begin, and if anyone else tunes in, there will be, I guess, a recording that you can refer to that will be either on YouTube or just found on the page for the Google chat. So first things first, I, as always, will start with the introduction. Okay, so if you want to find any of the information that I post here, you can find them located on the following page. So whenever I'm creating the Prezi, I always go and create one page that has all the links to the information so that I won't have to just bog the whole presentation down with links and so forth. And then okay, so I want to preface the whole sort of content marketing presentation with these awesome slides that I got from Moz. I think Moz is a great, Moz.com, if you haven't tapped into that resource or seen what they have to say yet, go and check it out. It's really great. So specifically, they have Whiteboard Fridays, and they talk about content marketing from time to time, and this is one of the most memorable Whiteboard Fridays. And the misconception in content marketing. So I'll kind of say this coming into this small presentation is just, content marketing is not a very easy solution to finding a lot of people. So just because you create a piece of content doesn't mean that it's going to bring in lots of customers, lots of readers, and so forth. It takes persistence. It takes attention to detail. You have to spend time to get to know your audience in order to gather a following and so forth. So, so first is, I'll preface it with the statement, let's try to put those misconceptions aside. And then second, I'm assuming you know your audience in this talk, because we can have a whole discussion about how to get to know your audience or how to segment for marketing purposes. But if you're going to create a piece of content and have a particular voice when you're creating it, kind of demands that you actually know where you're directing your content. So if you're fine on those two fronts, we'll go from the bottom left and then go clockwise. So first, I'll talk about tools and tips and types for content marketing. Then talk about where to post. We'll take a look at a bit of stats in order to see, what things can pop out to make our content marketing efforts a bit easier. Then how to post. You can post things in a certain location, but if they're not posted correctly, they're not going to get traction. Then how to plan. I talked about a content creation calendar in the meetup description, so that's where that will be discussed. I'll offer a few tools or just show a few resources, talk about them briefly, then show a few examples of what some really cool small businesses and or entrepreneurs could do on Snapchat, Instagram, or on any of, what is it, Snapchat, Instagram, or on YouTube. Yeah, so video marketing. So without further ado, beginning with considerations. Okay, so if you have businesses and customers, right, just start conceptually. I'm thinking you traditionally would go through these steps and treat it sort of linearly, like you would treat it like a linear process, and you would have a bit of a journey, but it wouldn't kind of look like it does today, because if you take a look at what's on the bottom, that's what small businesses are kind of using in order to create their marketing strategy. But if you take a look at content marketing, it is more amendable and more flexible for the current day customer journey, because it helps you to establish the connection that is necessary, as opposed to just trying to speak at a customer or find a customer or segment a customer and then capture them as a lead or acquire their purchase. You're connecting with the customer and not just designating them to a certain point in time. So, you're either offering a bit of help with content, or you're going to offer them a story that they can remember through content, or you're going to offer them some form of memorable something that will help them to connect with you as a business owner. And that's, I think, what is at the heart of content marketing. And we'll see in a minute that it's not always a most straight line, but that's the journey that exists today. So going into consideration of where and what types exist, well, if you first consider there are different channels and different platforms, right? There's a lot of talk about what content marketing is or is not, and there's a lot of confusion as well. I'm not going to claim to be the bright line definition of content marketing, but in my eyes, I feel that you can make a connection with a lot of people in many different ways, and it varies. It runs the gambit from text messaging to podcasts, video, blog, social, different types of messaging, and you can see all the platforms, right? They're all so varied. But one thing I guess that you can take away, what will connect with the later part, is that you don't want to preclude any of these channels or any of these platforms in content marketing, because if you have a reason to enter into one of these platforms, you should really do it, because if your audience is there, then and none of your competition is, it will really give you a competitive advantage. Then in content marketing, you got to determine the purpose before you can determine the content. So some people just pick up a pen and a pad and start writing, but you can kind of filter through the types of content without rushing through it, so that you can give it much more attention, and so you can get much more rich content in the end. So you want to then consider, right, do your homework. The stats are really important to pay attention to, especially in a time when content and social media and video and just digital marketing in general is trying to figure out its own identity. It's been sort of in flux for the last 5 years, and keeping up with some stats will really help out. So I took some of these stats from this one from a Pew Research survey that was conducted in 2014. So as you can see here, just overall aggregate numbers, right? They point to the fact that Facebook is still by far the largest social media website with the most followers. And then, you know, growth has taken place on different levels for places like LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, and Twitter. All right, and again, this is not the whole world of content marketing and all the platforms, but just if you want to look at social media as a whole, there are some really good numbers. And I guess a takeaway from here is, you know, you can if you can utilize Instagram or if you can utilize LinkedIn or Pinterest as a small business, you can have access to a larger number of potential viewers. And so we'll look at some demographics in a minute to take that into consideration too. So then, you know, just pay attention to the changing ways that people communicate. It's really important if you're going to be a content marketer, or even just, you know, try to share your voice and connect with people, because that's kind of the running theme I want, you know, people to think about is if you want to make a connection with somebody, it's going to be necessary to know where they're available to be connected with. So if you can see here, they have age designations, and this is from eMarketer, by the way, eMarketer.com. So different age segments and different channels of communication. So we can see send or reading text messages is still the most popular. And that's it's a very underutilized form of marketing. I'm not going to say that text messaging is the most popular or even effective way to content marketing, or to content market, or even that it is content marketing. Rather, I'm just going to say it has some interesting potential. So then email, obviously you can repurpose email a lot for content marketing purposes. And then you can take a look at the rest of the list and see what stands out for your particular business interest. So then, you know, after you consider, all right, well, where are the aggregate numbers in social media if you are going to use that as your content marketing platform, then you definitely want to start to look at the breakdown, right? See if it matches up with your segment, your segmentation. And so so here's one for Facebook, and if you particularly use Facebook, this will be very useful. And then definitely want to know which users are on Twitter. And you know, a lot of small businesses don't like to say that Twitter is for them, but Twitter has developed a business platform, and it's very useful, right? I think the aim is primarily medium and larger enterprises with their efforts and who they're marketing to. But I've seen some small businesses really gain significant followings that respond with a fairly high rate within their community, because a lot of individuals have Twitter, especially if you're a food company or if you're a service company. Like I have a client that they will help individuals whenever they have any sort of a, how do you say, like a injury, but they will find them different types of alternative medicine. And so, you know, it's niche, but they use Twitter to reach out to their customers, and their customers actually respond because they feel that that is the way that they've established their connection. And then if you will move on and look at every other breakdown that I've included here, I think you can make a determination as to whether or not these platforms match up with your market. And again, that's why I started off. You need to make sure you know your market, know your audience, know your customers, or else you won't be able to make an informed decision as to which place you should actually be marketing on in terms of content marketing. And it's very, very, very dangerous to think, well, I'm just going to use the platform that I'm most familiar with, because then that will inevitably result in some sort of misalignment with your efforts, and that won't yield great results. You know, everybody's looking for growth, and this is the best way to get it. So I'm including these here. I don't want to go into an extensive discussion because these are publicly available online. I've included the link again. And also, everyone has a different business model. So I'm just showing some things that are worth considering. And so this right here is another really important metric to follow, is not only what ages are using which platform, or on aggregate, where are most users today, also how often do they use it. And then you can look at something that is very, very, very insightful, and you gain a lot of useful information from a social media matrix. Because if you're going to do an integrated marketing platform, you always want to be where your customers are. And in content marketing, if you're going to try to make that connection, well, you need to try to determine where are the best areas and the most efficient areas where you can invest your time in order to get the most response and the best connection with your customers. So then we are going to move on and see a bit of, this is important because content SEO, I don't want to go into an SEO discussion. It's on one hand, it's vital that you know about content SEO. On the other hand, it's something that I feel is talked about a lot. The structure of content, the structure of articles, video SEO, the way that you structure a video. What types of video are you filming? What is the quality of the video? Things like that. Trying to optimize it so that it can be filtered, be located, and be accessed very easily by search engines. That is something that is really important, and I really want to stress, but it's also something that, like I said, it's talked about a lot, so I'm going to point you in the direction of Matt Cutts. He's awesome. He's great. I refer to him often. And on Content Marketing Institute, there is a great article that also includes videos for some really key elements that you want to make sure to not forget. So then we're going on to the calendar. Okay, so if you're going to make a content marketing calendar, there are many, many different types. This is a very hard decision for some, but it's funny because sometimes you could spend more time trying to be productive than actually saving time. Your production and efficiency efforts will sort of start to subsume all of the value that you could potentially get from it. So don't try and think that there's a perfect calendar, because there is not one perfect way to make a content calendar. It's essentially whatever works for you. And so this last one with icons works best for me. It's not detailed. Doesn't really show a lot of word. Well, there are no words on it, but I include them on the bottom. But you have to try to figure out which one fits best with even the software that you use. Because some people use Google's software, some people don't. Some people use different calendars such as Outlook. And so I think what's most important is a discussion of what are the considerations to put on your content calendar. Because on the last slide, I tried to minimize the search of the format and the design and all that, but I also, on the other hand, want to stress the importance of actually thinking through what you're going to be putting on your calendar, because it's essentially going to be a very good way of keeping you on task. I know it worked wonders for me, because before I made a content calendar, I was just making content whenever I had inspiration, whenever I had time, whenever I had energy, and so forth. But if you're going to be engaging in a conversation or in a connection, really, through content marketing, well, it takes the same type of investment, which is you have to establish a consistency in order to establish trust, and then After that, you can establish a connection, because if you just speak to a person once every 6 months, well, there's not going to be much value that you're going to be getting from your content marketing efforts. Unless you have a really awesome viral video or really revolutionary piece of advice to offer. Well, that's going to be the outlier. So, you want to determine the time frame that you're going to be marking your calendar with. So, whether it's going to be in days, conferences, you're going to just post content for holidays and so forth. Then, how does it relate to the audience, right? Say if you post once every 2 days. Well, once every 2 days for which segment, for which industry? If you're just in one industry or small business, you need to determine, is it going to be for branding purposes, much more general, or is it going to be to capture a lead, or is it going to be to actually get a customer? So after you determine that, try to figure out, well, what media channel am I going to be using? And then after that, it kind of is all wrapped up and really made clear by what is relevant for your business, right? How much time do you have? Do you have a team? Do you need to take that into consideration? How much money? How much skill? We'll get into some tips about freelance and third-party contracting in a second. But some small companies aren't really fit to create some types of content. I'm not going to say, because I think everybody can create content that makes a connection, just a matter of effort. But some things should be left to professionals, or some things should be partnered with, because there's really a large value to time, and you don't want to take up all your time trying to create content. And then sometimes, even if you spend all the time in the world, it just might not be to par with what people expect. So those are some considerations for a content calendar. And then I'll include a few links just relating to what you see here on the screen. You'll see some links from CoSchedule and eConsultancy. They give you some free calendars to download. And then a really cool and I would say robust guide to how to content market by the Content Marketing Institute. So that is the calendar segment, and then some suggestions, right? Whenever we have sort of content marketing efforts, I know that there's a lot of tools that that come in handy for everybody, and you may or may not use these, but these are some things that have proven very helpful in increasing my productivity and also in giving me better and cheaper results. So for design, well, Canva, it really helps you to do a lot of sort of designing things without being an expert in Photoshop, or without having to open up an Adobe suite. And then Pictochart is great for infographics, if that's your forte. Some people don't like them, and that's your strength. If you can really put a story into pictures, you can use Pictochart to do that efficiently. Automation. I think if you're going to do content marketing, this is not the place you want to start, but definitely it's a place that you're going to hear about. And some people think that automation for content marketing is the holy grail, but if you're just automating your content and just trying to grab stuff and then recycle it and resend it from platform to platform, well, you're not really content marketing. You're kind of missing the point if you just automate it. But I know content marketing is very time consuming, and so this will help you to save some time if you can automate in certain ways. So analytics as well. You definitely want to keep track on what value you're getting and whether or not the content marketing you're doing is meeting your business goals. And some small businesses are really, really intimidated by Google Analytics. Sometimes, I guess justifiably, certain e-commerce stores are really difficult to plan for and strategize for. So either it takes a professional to actually come in and help out, fill in that role, or something like Quill Engage will help to simplify and send very simplified numbers to your business monthly. And then DataBox, that's for your phone. It's really great app. I just started using it, and it puts all of your data into one location and centralizes basically your analytic life. So if you have multiple platforms, that's great. And then getting into freelance. So freelance suggestions are things like Fiverr and Odesk and Scribe. Scribe is more like a third party. You can actually purchase a blog post, purchase a bit of content that is 100% professional and related to your community, but it's a bit more costly. For instance, it's about $100 for a blog. That might be really useful for a startup with like a first or second round of funding, but not so useful for a small bakery that doesn't really have $100 to spend on a blog. In that case, you might head over to Odesk or to find somebody to write a blog for you. And so I'll say that Odesk, I've had some great freelancers who I've worked with, and I've worked with some individuals who are really terrible in terms of keeping time schedule or keeping a project, for that matter. But you can sort through them, and if you give it enough time, you'll find an individual that you trust and that hopefully you can continue to work with. And then you can give them that content schedule that you create, and they can create it for you for anything on the range of $10 to $30 an article. Or again, any other type of content that you decide to contract out. Fiverr, a lot of things can be attained through Fiverr, but don't expect the best results for $5. So then going into social, if you're going to be posting a lot on social, trying to regularly develop a presence, then you'll want to know some tools like BuzzSumo, Solo Sonar. The second one is lesser known than the first, or Buffer. Buffer is another form of Hootsuite, but I prefer Buffer because it actually will link with your feeds from Feedly. So if you don't have a Feedly account and you want to do a lot of social, then yes, that will be another thing you should get. And then you can just tag certain things in Feedly, and then Buffer will automatically send out some of those articles. So those are a few suggestions. You can find all of those links in the page again. And then, so now we will end off with just a bit of some inspiration. It's really important, I think, that kind of things get tied together. So you think about content marketing, and some small businesses really, they are insistent that it's not for them, or entrepreneurs even. Well, more entrepreneurs are sort of towing the trends and trying to follow trends than small businesses, obviously. But some entrepreneurs even they preclude, and they think certain types of marketing are not for them. But so let's just take a look at some examples from Snapchat and Instagram and things that you can do. Well, think about it on Snapchat. Some businesses are using Snapchat in order to get customer feedback. If you want a short survey filled out, sometimes it's much better for an individual to use Snapchat and use their words, as opposed to typing things in, pressing buttons, and going through a process that, well, society is just deemed annoying. Surveys are just not liked for the most part. Then we go, say if you have a new product on Instagram or on Snapchat and you want to display it very quickly, those are great areas for you to display your products. And even if you're especially if you're a restaurant, you should be on Instagram or on Snapchat. Then you can do some how-tos on video, because on Instagram you can, remember, post video, 15-second videos. Then you have you can talk about tips and tricks that are daily or even weekly, that can help to really give you a connection with some customers. And then also give promotions, hold raffles. I've seen companies hold raffles over Snapchat. Who can sing the company's motto the best? Or who can give their best reaction to a new product? Or who can give a creative sort of thought on a product? And if that's hosted through Snapchat, well, that'll be really fun for some demographics. And so you can go into competitions, discounts, and so forth. So hopefully that will kind of give you some creative, hopefully that'll get the creative juices flowing in order for you to use Snapchat or Instagram. Then just get a quick video from online from even a dentist who utilized a really cool video format. So I think you get the idea. If you're going to go into a dentist, right, it's a scary place. Or if you're going to go into any other place and say if you have traditional marketing efforts that try to get across the point that you're family oriented, or that you have friendly staff, or you want to use reviews for that purpose, well, this might be a very, very, very good hint that video is also not a bad way for you to effectively relay that message. And also, it's not a difficult way, because this was created on a Mac program, and it is not very difficult at all. It's just a matter of inserting a few videos. And then even if you would like to skip the whole sort of self-learning part and then just contract it out, well, Odesk has a number of individuals that would do something like this for very low cost. And so, you can just start to think about where you can go if you had all of the messages that video offers, whether it be through a longer video, or whether it be through a shorter video in Snapchat, or even a picture in Instagram. All of these are really important ways to actually get your messages across in order to tell your customer who you are, and in order to establish trust and connection. And they're also underutilized because not a lot of small businesses are using them. And so I will include some case studies in the links as well. But for now, that is it. And I am going to go back to the actual Hangout and then start to see if there are any questions. So, okay, so I'm back. I got a message now. So I'm going to see if there's an opportunity for questions, or if there's anybody who would like to ask any question concerning anything that was talked about. So I'm leaving it open for now. Okay, so there it is. And then I'm going to, I think there are a few other people outside. Okay, so this time around, it is a, let's see. Okay, so there are some comments, but there are not really questions yet. So if that is it, I am actually going to leave it at that, and then I'm going to go into a short Q&A just with individuals here, and then I will post any sort of feedback, or I will answer any questions that are posted as well. And oh, so I'm getting some actual comments. So I'm going to go ahead and go forward with I'm going to try to help them out a bit, and then I will be right back.